Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and another tutorial. Today we're going to learn how to crochet a child's robe. So as always, I don't like to dawdle, so let's get started. So let's go ahead and have a look at our tools. We're going to use this Bernat baby blanket sparkle yarn. And the awesome thing about this yarn is that even though it has those sparkles in it, it does not it's not rough on the skin. You know, sometimes when you buy yarn with sparkles, the sparkles are kind of rough, but this yarn is not like that. It's very nice and soft, and it's okay for baby skin. So we're going to have a darning needle and some scissors and an 8 millimeter hook. Now what I've already done here is I already have my back panel ready. Now I'm going to do a small version. Again, you want to make sure that you measure your toddler, measure from shoulder to shoulder, and that will give you the width. If you do not have a measuring tape, just make a chain and just keep checking as you go along so that till you get to the width. Make sure you add an additional 3 chains to that so that you can make sure that it fits properly when you put it on, because you are measuring without a measuring tape. It'll come out great either way. So the first thing I did was I went ahead and I chained 28, and I'm just making single crochets going back and forth. So I did that. I made my 28 chains, skipped the first chain, and made single crochets into the next 27. And I also had 27 rows. Again, your toddler might be taller, so just keep checking as you go along. So go ahead and make your 28 chains or however long you need to make it, and then make your rows. I have 27 rows of single crochets going back and forth. If I have any beginners in the room, I do have a beginner's tutorial on how to make all of the basic stitches. So go ahead and make your back panel, and I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back. So now once you have your back panel ready, I'm going to show you how to do this without making two separate front panels, without you having to bind off. Now on this side, you will have to bind off because you need to come over here. But on this side, you do not have to bind off. So when you get to your last row, this was my last row right here. Let me adjust my camera. So now that I have my 27 rows here, 27 divided by 2 is 13.5. So you want to put your stitch marker in the 14th place. That's going to get you right directly in the middle. Then once you've placed your stitch marker, after you've done your last row, you don't have to bind off. Go ahead and place your stitch marker in that 14th place, and then begin making some single crochets going across. However, you want to go into the back loop because you want your front panel to come forward like this and fold over in the front like this. So when you make your row, when you come back after you've done your last double crochet, turn your work, go into the back loop of each of your double crochets with a single crochet. You only do that for one row, and then after that you just continue going back and forth. I went to number 11, stitch 11. So even though that stitch marker is in that 14th place, I came back about 3 stitches and came to 11. So I have 11 single crochets in the back loop here. That's my first row of this front panel, and then I just continue on making my single crochets going all the way around, all the way across, back and forth. You want to make sure it is as long as the back panel. So I have 27 rows for my back panel, and I have 27 rows for this left panel. And then when I come back, I'm going to show you how to do the right panel, and then we're going to work on the collar. Okay, so I'm at my last row. This is my 27th row, and I'm going to go ahead and bind off, cut off my yarn, make sure it's a nice decent size so you can weave in later, and go ahead and chain one and pull through. Okay, make sure that's nice and secure, and you can go ahead and weave that in. I will weave that off camera. Go ahead and turn your work, because we want this panel to fold over. So we want to start over here on the end. Go ahead and grab your yarn and let's reattach that yarn. We're going to attach it to the back loop of that stitch there. That's our first stitch. Go ahead and chain and then go back in with a single. We're going into the back loops of each of your stitches. Okay, so I'm at my 11th single crochet. I'm going to go ahead and chain one and then turn my work, and now I'm just going to go into the loops like normal, making my single crochets. Now we're going to continue on, and we're going to go ahead and make the sleeves. Now for the sleeve, you want to go ahead and try it on your toddler or whomever you're making it for, and then make sure you come down far enough so that it's underneath the underarm, but enough room so that they can lift and raise their arm without there being any discomfort. So I decided to come down about 7 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to add a stitch marker here. I always like to place my hook in that space so that until I can get my stitch marker. Okay, so I have my stitch marker. I'm going to remove my hook. I know where that stitch marker goes and go ahead and put my stitch marker in there. So now do the same thing on the other side. And you can add another stitch marker if you want to, or just use that same stitch marker and attach both those panels together. This is a great time again to try it on your toddler to make sure that their arms are going through that hole comfortably. If this is not big enough, just come down a couple more rows. So just count down, count back a couple more rows. Go ahead and remove that stitch marker and then put your stitch marker back in there into that next row, that one row that you went. I did buy 2 skeins of yarn, thank goodness, because I'm terrible with knowing how many skeins of yarn I need. I'm really bad with that. I'm usually short at least 1 skein. So go ahead and slip stitch and then chain 1. Go back into that space with a single crochet. And then you're just going to make your way around, going into each available hole. So there's your first stitch. Go into the next one, and then in each available space, I have my sleeves all done here. As I said, I'm not going to go out too far, just enough so you can see what that looks like. I've done both sides. Each of my sleeves are 18 stitches around. Again, if you need to make it bigger, do that. Each child, toddler are different. So now we're going to work on the side panels here, just closing up these sides. So let's go ahead and thread our darning needle here. And you just do it however you do it. With thicker yarn, of course, you want to use a bigger eye with your hook. So now you're going to turn your garment inside out. Because we're going to do these edges here. Now, I'm not real big on sewing. I'm not much of a sewer, so I couldn't tell you the name of these stitches. But I'm just going to show you what I did. I'm going to show you how I'm doing mine, and that's going to be that. Let me come a little bit closer. So I have my needle all nice and threaded here. So I'm going to go into, and this is actually the side of the sleeve here. So I'm going to go back into that stitch just so we can get a good start here and pull that through. I didn't cut off my yarn because I wasn't sure how long I needed for my yarn to be. So once I show you these couple of rows here, then I'm going to switch off and do it off camera. But go into your next one. You want to go into the stitches, into that yarn. Don't actually go into the whole of the stitches. I like to just go into the stitch itself with my darning needle. And I'm going to show you that one more time before I move on. Make sure it's nice and tight. But I'm going into that stitch in that yarn, and not necessarily in the holes, but like in between on there, just so I can get a real good pull on there, and it's nice and tight. Okay, so I'm back and I have those sides all done up. This is the correct side. So now we're going to work on the edging right here to bring it in a little closer so that she or he can wrap it around themselves. So you can wrap it around. It's actually on the, we're going to start on the right side. So start at the bottom in that first stitch right here. Go ahead and add your yarn onto there. Slip stitch, chain one. Go back into that stitch with a single crochet. And then just continue working your way around. Go into each available space. There's another space there and another space here. Go all the way up your sides, around the neck portion, and back down the side till you get there. And then you're going to keep alternating back and forth. Don't go all the way around the garment, just in this front portion, back and forth, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I am back and I have both sides done here. Going back and forth, I did 4 rows of that. If you want to add a hood, I do have a tutorial that will show you how to make a hood. I have a hooded scarf that will show you how to make a hood, but I'm not going to make a hood on this one. I think it's rather cute like this. So now we're going to go ahead and make the belt for this robe. Okay, so let's go ahead and make the tie for our robe here. Now I'm going to show you how to make a single crochet robe without chaining. So you want to make this really long because this is the chain that you will use to make your stitches. And then your other chain is connected, this other end is connected to your skein. So you're going to, just like you normally would make a slip knot, go ahead and make a slip knot. Go ahead and put your hook in. Now the yarn that's leading from the skein is the one that you wrap the way you normally would wrap around your fingers. There's your loop right here. Here is your that leads to your tail. You see how long that is? The tail needs to be really long because you're going to be using a lot of yarn. So once you have everything into position, you're going to take the tail yarn right here, the tail yarn. You're going to take your hook and put it to the side. Wrap your tail yarn around in front of the yarn that's leading from your skein. Let me do that again. Wrap it around and go behind that hook. Now you want to hold it because it will twist around the first couple of times. See, I lost my place here. So wrap your finger around, go around into the back, making sure that that yarn from your skein is in back, is behind that loop. Yarn over and make your single crochet. And that's how you do that to keep from making a chain. You're just making straight single crochets. Let me do that again. Take that tail piece, wrap it around the back of your hook. Make sure that your skein yarn is behind that loop. Yarn over and pull through. And just make that, use up all of that yarn. So I'm going to continue on, and when I come back, I have my darning needle attached and my tie ready to go. Okay. So we have our tie ready to go, and I went ahead and I made sure I had a nice long tail, and I added my darning needle. So now we're going to go ahead and go in and out of our stitches. Now this is your edge right here. You want to start right before the edge. Decide where you want it to go. I say right directly in the middle, which is right here, directly right in the middle. And you're going to go in this way. So this is the first row of your edge. That's the first row. This is the next row before that. Oh, wait a minute. I'm looking at this wrong. Sorry. This is the first row of your edge. Okay. So you're going to go in right before that first row and in between this last single crochet row here. Go right in between there and just pull through. Pull, pull, pull. You want to leave enough so that it could be tied in the front. Now what I did was I skipped 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And with my darning needle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, come out of the 7th stitch, right in between. You're going to go in between those holes. You don't have to go into each and every one of them. You can skip. So now I'm going to continue making my way around. Skip 6, and in my 7th one, go ahead and dive in with my needle. Make sure you're going in between those stitches, not into the stitch itself, but right in between in the hole. So I'm going to make my way around, and so here is our little robe here. That is what she looks like. There is the tie that goes around. Now I have to get me a little child mannequin or a baby doll or something because I can't keep doing this like this. But I'm hoping, okay, so this is what she looks like on the table. I'm hoping this is a better view of what it looks like. I'm not too sure about that, but I'm doing the best I can, guys. My table's not that big. So that's what she looks like. There's the tie and this pretty soft yarn with the little sparklies in there. I hope you can see the little sparkles. And as I said before, it's nice and soft. It will not hurt your child. They're not scratchy. They're as soft as the yarn is. So that came out really great. So I want to thank you for watching this tutorial. Don't forget to like and subscribe and come back for another tutorial. See you in the next tutorial, guys. Bye-bye.